The exhaustion did not arrive all at once. It crept in like a fog that thickened every morning until Daniel Harper could barely see himself anymore. On the day this story truly begins, awoke before dawn with a chest full of weight, a mind buzzing with unfinished thoughts, and a body that felt older than his years. The city outside his apartment window glowed with sleepless lights, and somewhere deep inside him a quiet fear whispered that this was all life would ever be. Endless tiredness, endless effort, and no energy left to dream. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human resilience, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because this journey belongs to all of us. Daniel had once been known for his fire. Friends remembered the way he worked late with a smile, the way he ran at sunrise, the way ideas spilled from him as if his mind were a river that never dried. But years of pressure had slowly drained him. A demanding job, a sick parent, the weight of expectations he carried without complaint had turned his days into a long corridor with no windows. Coffee stopped working, motivation faded, even joy felt like a rumor from another life. He tried pushing harder, believing discipline alone could save him, but the more he forced himself forward, the more his body resisted. His tiredness was no longer physical, it had sunk into his bones and wrapped itself around his heart. The breaking point came on a rainy evening when Daniel collapsed onto his apartment floor, still wearing his coat, unable to move for several minutes. It was not pain that frightened him, but emptiness. He realized that if nothing changed, he would disappear slowly, not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet, forgettable one. That night, as rain traced silver lines down the window, he searched for answers with the last strength he had. That was when he found a lecture by Marian Rojas Estapé, speaking about the invisible forces that steal our energy and the surprising wisdom hidden in Japanese philosophy, a secret not of productivity hacks, but of humanity. The idea sounded almost too simple to matter. The Japanese secret was not about doing more, but about honoring the nervous system, respecting rest as sacred, and transforming tiredness by changing how one lived inside each moment. Daniel learned about the concept of gentle consistency, about creating small rituals that signal safety to the brain, about slowing down to regain speed. He learned that chronic tiredness often comes from living in constant alert, from never allowing the mind to feel safe. The words struck him like a quiet truth he had always known but never allowed himself to accept. For the first time in years, he did not feel blamed for his exhaustion. He felt understood. Change did not come like lightning. It came like dawn. The next morning, Daniel did something radical in its simplicity. He woke up and did not rush. He breathed deeply, letting his body know it was not under attack. He stepped outside and walked without headphones, listening to the sound of his own footsteps, the rhythm of life around him. He reduced his caffeine, not as punishment, but as kindness. He began ending his days with gratitude, writing down small moments of calm as if they were treasures. At first, nothing dramatic happened, and doubt whispered that this was foolish. But beneath the doubt, something subtle began to shift. Weeks passed, and Daniel noticed that his mind no longer raced the moment he opened his eyes. His shoulders softened, his sleep deepened, energy returned, not in frantic bursts, but as a steady flame. He understood now that unstoppable energy was not explosive, it was sustainable. The Japanese secret was teaching him how to live in rhythm rather than resistance. Even his work changed. He focused deeply for shorter periods, then rested without guilt. Creativity returned like a long-lost friend. People around him noticed the difference before he did. There was a lightness in his presence, a calm confidence that did not demand attention but inspired it. Yet the real test came when life pushed back, as it always does. His father's condition worsened, deadlines tightened, and old fears tried to reclaim their territory. This time, Daniel did not collapse. He paused, he breathed, he remembered that energy grows where care lives. Instead of burning himself to keep everything warm, he shared the load, accepted help, and allowed himself to be human. In those moments, I realized the deepest truth Marian Rojas Estapé had hinted at. Tiredness often comes from believing we must face life alone. As months turned into a year, Daniel became someone others came to for strength. Not because I never struggled, but because I had learned how to recover. I taught friends the rituals that saved him, the power of slowing down, the courage of rest, the beauty of listening to one's own body. His life did not become perfect, but it became alive. Energy flowed through him not as pressure, but as purpose. I no longer chased productivity, I cultivated presence. And presence, I discovered, was the most powerful fuel of all. If this story touched something inside you, if you felt seen in Daniel's exhaustion or hope in his transformation, please like the video, share it with someone who feels tired in ways sleep cannot fix, and subscribe to the channel to keep stories like this alive. Your engagement is not just a click, it is a reminder that none of us walks this path alone. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment and write one word that describes how you feel right now, because sometimes naming our feelings is the first step toward healing. Tiredness did not feel dramatic at first. It felt ordinary, almost invisible, which made it even more dangerous. Michael Anderson sat on the edge of his bed one early morning, staring at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. His phone buzzed with reminders, deadlines, and unanswered messages, but his body refused to respond. His chest felt heavy, his thoughts slow, and his soul strangely silent. Somewhere between ambition and survival, he had lost the strength to care. This is where his story truly begins, in that quiet moment when exhaustion stops being physical and becomes emotional. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that even the most tired heart can rise again, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because this journey is bigger than one person. Michael had once been unstoppable. I remember the years when energy flowed through him like electricity, when I woke before the alarm, when dreams pulled him out of bed instead of responsibilities pushing him. But life had a way of tightening its grip slowly. A high-pressure career, the loss of his mother, and the constant need to prove himself had turned his days into a marathon with no finish line. I believed rest was weakness and slowing down meant falling behind. So I ignored the signs. I ignored the adages, the shallow sleep, the way joy quietly slipped away. Until one day, even success felt empty. The collapse was silent. No hospital, no dramatic scene, just a moment in his office when his vision blurred and his heart raced for no clear reason. Fear wrapped around him tightly, not fear of dying, but fear of living like this forever. That night, alone in his apartment, Michael searched for answers with trembling hands. That was when I discovered the words of Marian Rojas Estapé and a concept rooted in Japanese wisdom that would quietly change his life. It spoke about how modern exhaustion is born from constant alert, how the body lives as if danger never ends, and how energy can only return when safety is restored. The Japanese secret was not about pushing harder or walking earlier. It was about gentleness, rhythm, and respect for the nervous system. It taught that tiredness is often the body's cry for care, not discipline. Michael learned about intentional pauses, about creating moments of calm that signal the brain it can finally rest. I learned that true strength comes from balance, not pressure. At first, the ideas felt uncomfortable. Slowing down made him anxious. Resting felt undeserved. But deep inside, something recognized the truth. I started small, almost embarrassed by how simple it seemed. I began his mornings without his phone, breathing deeply before standing up. I walked outside daily, not to exercise, but to feel the ground beneath his feet. I ate slowly, slept earlier, and stopped filling every silence with noise. Some days, nothing changed, and frustration returned. But slowly, quietly, his body responded. Sleep grew deeper. His mind softened. For the first time in years, I laughed without forcing it. Life tested him again when work pressure increased and old habits tried to pull him back. This time, Michael noticed the warning signs and chose differently. I paused instead of pushing. rested without guilt, asked for help, something his pride once forbade. In doing so, he discovered a powerful truth: energy multiplies when shared, not when hoarded. The Japanese secret was no longer a concept, it was a way of living. Months later, Michael was not just functioning, he was alive. His eyes held clarity, his movements calm confidence. He still worked hard, but not at the cost of himself. People noticed the change and asked what his secret was. He smiled and said it was not a secret at all, just a return to humanity. He learned that unstoppable energy does not shout, it flows. It does not burn, it warms. If this story touched your heart, if you saw your own exhaustion reflected in Michael's journey, please like this video, share it with someone who feels tired beyond words, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Before the ending, please comment one thing you are tired of carrying alone, because releasing it might be the first step toward healing. The tiredness arrived like a shadow that followed him everywhere, stretching longer each day until it covered even the brightest moments. Samuel Wright stood on a crowded train platform one morning, surrounded by rushing bodies and loud announcements, yet feeling completely alone. His heart beat fast, his head felt heavy, and a strange emptiness sat behind his eyes. He was not lazy, not weak, not broken, yet every step felt like carrying a life that was too heavy to lift anymore. This is where his story begins, in that silent moment when a person realizes they are surviving but no longer truly living. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human healing, take a second right now to like this video, share it with someone who feels exhausted inside, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. Samuel had built his life carefully. A stable job, respect from colleagues, responsibilities handled without complaint. From the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, he was running on empty. Years of emotional pressure, unresolved grief, and the constant need to stay strong had slowly drained him. He believed that rest was something to earn later, that slowing down was dangerous, that if he stopped even for a moment, everything would fall apart. So he kept going, ignoring the tight chest, the restless nights, the fading sense of joy. He forgot what it felt like to wake up with excitement instead of dread. One evening, after another long day, Samuel sat alone in his dark apartment, staring at the city lights outside his window. He felt an overwhelming sense of failure, not because he hadn't achieved enough, but because he felt nothing about what he had achieved. That emptiness scared him more than exhaustion ever had. Searching for answers, he came across a talk by Marian Rojas Estapé about emotional fatigue and a Japanese philosophy that transforms tiredness into lasting energy. It wasn't about motivation or discipline. It was about healing the nervous system, restoring inner safety, and learning how to live without constant pressure. The Japanese secret changed everything Samuel believed. It taught that modern tiredness is often the result of living in constant fight mode, where the body never feels safe enough to rest. It spoke about slow living, intentional pauses, and respecting natural rhythms. Energy, it said, is not created by forcing the body, but by calming the mind. At first, Samuel resisted the idea. Slowing down felt irresponsible. Rest felt like surrender. But deep inside, something whispered that this was what he had been missing all along. He began with small changes that felt almost insignificant. He stopped checking his phone the moment he woke up. He breathed deeply before starting his day. He walked without rushing, ate without distractions, and allowed silence into his life. Some days felt uncomfortable, as if his mind was searching for chaos. Other days, a strange peace appeared, brief but powerful. Slowly, his sleep improved. His thoughts became clearer. His body felt lighter, not because life was easier, but because he was no longer fighting himself. Challenges didn't disappear. Work pressure returned, old fears resurfaced, and moments of doubt tried to pull him back into exhaustion. But this time, Samuel noticed the signs early. He chose rest instead of burnout. He chose presence instead of panic. He allowed himself to feel emotions he once buried under productivity. In doing so, he discovered something profound. Unstoppable energy does not come from pushing harder, but from living softer. Months passed, and Samuel transformed quietly. His energy returned, steady and calm. His eyes reflected peace instead of fatigue. People around him felt his presence differently. He listened more, smiled genuinely, and moved through life with intention. He still worked, still faced responsibilities, but now he carried them without losing himself. The Japanese secret had not changed his life overnight. It had changed how he lived every moment. If this story touched your heart, if you felt your own exhaustion reflected in Samuel's journey, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread healing stories to those who need them most. Before the ending, please comment one habit you're ready to release so your energy can return, because even acknowledging it is a powerful step.